22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Exeter Planning Board of August 25th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. And I want to make sure that everybody was here by 6:30. That's why I came a little bit late. Hope I didn't make too much of a delay. Thank you very much. I'm Langdon Plummer. I'm chairman of the board. And I will yield to the vice chair to introduce himself, please.
I just want to say one thing. When the fish rots, it rots from the head. But other than that, I'm Aaron Brown, the vice chair.
John Bruder.
Nancy Blanchard, select board representative.
Pete Cameron, clerk. Dan Chartrand, alternate.
Dan's an alternate, but he will be acting tonight. We have decisions to make. And we welcome you there. The first thing we have, I believe, is a request from Willie Creek Company.
No, it's the public hearing on the CIP.
Oh, that's right. I'm ahead of myself. See, I'm early. Well, where's that?
Depends on what agenda you're looking at, right?
Well, I didn't get my copy of the printed. We're looking at the CIP, right?
Yeah.
That's the capital improvement project plan. And it's the beginning of the budget making process where all the boards come in and indicate what they feel their needs are over the next 6 years for the maintenance and care of the town for that period of time, with focus on the forthcoming year as that becomes really the beginning of the budget making process. Just so folks at home know what we're all about this evening. And Dave, would you like to lead us off? This is the second hearing on the plan, and we were hosted, but not hosted, but we had
Yes.
all the department heads with us last time. Wait a minute, we got a loose wire?
Thought it was the wind of the fan hitting the mic.
Yeah, that's great.
So you just kind of got to put it so John blocks it.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, excuse me.
Yes, thank you. At the last meeting, you had the first meeting, the CIP meeting, where the department heads were all present, presented their requested CIP projects, and for CIP is Capital Improvement Program. And the board asked questions, the department heads were here to answer questions. Then once that's done, while the last meeting is open to the public, we follow it up in the event someone watched the prior meeting, wanted to come and provide any public input on anything they've heard or ask any questions. We hold it to a second meeting and we have the public input meeting. So I would suggest, open it up to the public here, if anyone's here to speak on it, let them speak. If not, then the board can act on the capital improvement program and adopt it, and I'll send a transmittal letter. What usually happens is if you have any in that transmittal letter, if you have anything specific you want to highlight or recommend or point out, this is the time to do so. So any motion to approve the CIP could be accompanied with a recommendation. And for one, I know that the planning board had discussed the parking and traffic, the downtown parking and traffic and pedestrian flow analysis, which was initially scheduled for 2024, but the board recommended that be put forward to the voters in 2023. So I'm just suggesting that might be worth putting in your transmittal letter as well, in addition to any other items you feel may be necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So first, let me open it up to the public. Anybody that has some concerns or comments or observations about the CIP and the presentation. Those materials are available in the planning office, by the way. Seeing none, then and following up what Dave says, I would like to say I did take the time to review the two inside tours of both police and fire department. And in my humble opinion, I find that facility is a fine facility, and our people are doing the best they can, but it's just plain outdated. I mean, they're not quite sleeping on top of each other or falling over each other, but they're able to maintain their responsibilities, and I appreciate that as a citizen and as a board member. So I'm not sure where that fits within the CIP, but and I've heard in talking with him too that Dave has been very helpful in the process of helping move it along, because it's been going on for a while. But we had several years ago, I think, encouraged that the town do a review of all of their buildings and not just focus on one department or whatever. And I think that process has helped. And Dave, you certainly have helped also stay on the ball on that. That's my comment. Anybody else have a thought? Dan?
Yeah, the thing that struck me after our meeting, and if this could be put in the transmittal letter somehow, and I know the select board and the budget committee have this on their radar, but it struck me how many projects might be eligible for infrastructure money.
Yes.
I forget what the acronym is, pardon me, but.
Who knows what
Yeah,
it is? Yeah.
but that might be a reason for us to accelerate beyond our normal pace on capital projects, given how much money is available currently. So if we could put that in our letter somehow, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's probably more artfully phrased than I did.
It's your and my money, and we should take advantage of it if it's available. Absolutely.
It's, the money's out there now, and we might want to move faster rather than slower, especially on water and sewer projects.
Yes.
Securing our water supply, we see droughts more and more often.
Yes.
Securing our water supply, both above ground and below ground, that would seem to be a priority, and we're always in need of picking up our pace on sewer projects. We're always a little behind on that, so those would be things
Money isn't all spread out over 10 years.
I believe so, but
We have to make sure everything we're mixed.
Yeah. Got to keep your path.
sooner's better than later.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, although I wasn't present at that meeting, I will say that the minutes that we were given were, I thought, quite helpful. They were in great detail, and to that extent, I think Daniel deserves this is not to go into the letter, obviously, but I just want to compliment Dan on what he did and putting those minutes together. I thought it was
Attaboy. You doing attaboy?
Yeah, attaboy.
Thank you.
Sure he appreciates that because we asked on him enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got enough.
Anyone else?
No, I mean, I think everything we looked at was reasonable, whether it's all affordable.
Yeah.
But as Dan suggested, if there's some hanging fruit, hanging trees out there, hanging stuff on trees.
Aside from the infrastructure money, there was other money from the state.
Yes, yeah.
Water, sewer, so.
And things are only going to be more expensive by the day, you know?
I will add, our assistant town manager is right on it when it comes to all the money that's available right now and upcoming, so.
Yep. Okay.
Excuse me,
Yes.
do we have to do anything to be sure that we get our piece of this pie? No, not the planning board.
The
but I'm just
infrastructure
saying,
money.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow, I guess it's coming, I'm not sure where it's coming out of, but when we go back
I'll
and
let
look
you
at
answer.
COVID, and the monies that were available there were a lot of hoops that one had to go through. And I'm wondering whether we're going to have the same kind of hoops here. Hopefully not, but we might.
Looking to get your student loans forgiven?
No, don't get me on that subject. Thank you very
I got
much.
a call on that. They want me to take an interview. Oh, that's good. Yeah, see, so.
Why did I pay for all those kids? I let them borrow the money in
You
that.
had to do something with it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think the answer to that is the projects have to be on the books moving forward.
Well, okay, but then I
It's
guess
not
what
really
I'm
a planning
saying
board issue other than what.
is that we want to be sure that we're not have missed the time.
Right.
I guess that's for a
What we
general.
heard 2 weeks ago, I think the town employees, everyone seems to be.
They're on it.
They're on it.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
they know
yeah.
what they
Oh, I'm
have
sure-
to
I'm
do
sure that's so.
as we do,
Yep,
so.
Well, it's a matter of keeping your eye peeled for all the bulletins and things that come out that you can go to sleep on quickly to see if there's anything new or if there's some kind of last-minute change. Rockham Planning Commission keeps an eye on some of those things too, but, and occasionally I'll get an email and forward to David. He usually gets it, I'm not sure. I suspect he's already gotten it, you know, from RPC, but I don't just sit on it and say, well, that's nice, but yeah, you get, you know, really change your, maybe the first thing that every morning you stop and look at the paperwork and see what's there and what changes may make it. A little more aggressive, you know? So, then I guess I'm willing to have a motion to, she said, to accept the plan? That be the right wording? With our,
So I'll make a motion to
Yes.
accept the plan and push it forward in the process with our comments attached.
Second.
And just before, so I have an understanding, your comments, I kind of, you know, the town should consider the availability and federal funding in determining the timing of capital improvement projects. They should actively pursue funding and be open to the possibility of moving project forward in a timely manner should funding be secured.
Perfect.
Something to that effect. So what, and was there anything else that you wanted in there?
There was one.
I mean, did you want to highlight the parking and say you
Yes.
fully support
Yes.
that for 2023?
yeah,
I believe
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So one small bore and one large issue.
Okay, so the planning board fully supports funding the downtown parking study in 2023. Something that, you know, the parking pedestrian flow analysis. Okay, so those two comments, any others?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
All right, then I'll call for a vote. I think a hand vote's okay on this one, so just if you're in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. And those opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. 5-0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. Count. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks today for... Okay. We got an easterly wind here tonight. I don't know where it's coming from, but anyway, so that's good, and if there's some urgency to get that letter signed,
We'll put it together tomorrow. Well, Kathy's not until Monday, so.
okay, well,
Oh, the vice chair could,
Vice Chair will be more than
Okay.
willing to stop and sign
all right.
on my behalf.
Absolutely. I signed a lot of things for you.
Well, that's your job. That allows me not to have to drive an hour and a half, sign the last document, okay. All right, moving on the agenda then. Yes, is, a note dated August 8 from Dave Sharples, case number 22-3. Applicant has requested to be continued until September 8, 2022, meeting at 7 p.m. And he's enclosed an email
If you can. Sorry.
from the applicant's attorney requesting the continuance. I think that's a
I think now it's going over your head, so you could probably turn the mic the other way.
Getting to you.
We're trying to improve the audio quality, so as much as you can, try and, talk within like 6 minutes.
I may have to change the board for that. So Dave, I believe that this is a separate issue from the additional information we got.
Yes, that was regarding the
Okay.
extension request
Yep,
that
yep.
is later on the agenda.
Yep.
In front of you, you have a letter that I'll briefly read. By this letter, we request to table case number 22-3 until further notice. The planning board is scheduled to consider tonight our recent request to continue the first public hearing on Willie Creek underlying applications in the above referenced case to planning board's next meeting on September 8th, 2022. However, in light of several issues, to include our receipt of Deputy Fire Chief Jason Fritz's letter on July 14th, 2022, which letter necessitates redesign of the project and various scheduling conflicts with members of the development team, the applicant will not be situated to file new materials in time for the 8th September meeting. In light of these circumstances, tabling this matter is reasonable. Once the applicant has the opportunity to complete its redesign of the project, the applicant will file the same with the planning board and will provide new abutter labels and requisite notification fees so the public will be appropriate noticed of a new public hearing at no expense to the planning board or town. I would say the planning board doesn't even need to take act, because, you have an accepted jurisdiction, so without objection, I would just remove it from the agenda until further notice, and then when they come back, we'll look at it, and if it might need, their reference redesign, go back to the TRC, and then we'll just renotice it, notify all the butters, take care of any notice requirements from the state and just bring it back when they're ready. So I don't believe the planning board needs to take any action. You good with that? Yeah, so.
I had one comment on that.
Yeah.
I see the attorney representing the applicant here. Justin, would you mind standing up for a second? Is that enough time?
So I think the object of Justin Passe, DTC lawyers in Portsmouth for the record, but the object of the tabling for now, it's going to be time, and I just didn't want to keep on punting and having this on the agenda. So the idea was, let's table it. We're working diligently to pull everything together and refile. And when we do, as Mr. Sharple said, if we've got to go back to TRC, we've got to go back to TRC. But we'll pay for whatever we need to do to renotice and all the labels and all of that.
Okay. So you think the 8th?
No. The 8th is off. It was originally the 8th. Now it's just, we're just going to remove it from the agenda. We're just going to remove it from the agenda. When they're ready to come back, we'll renotice it, and at that appropriate time.
So we're going back to square one and start, not over it, kind of.
In a sense, but no, the application's been filed. It's, it's went through the process so far.
The case hasn't been accepted.
The case has not been accepted, so no statutory time clock is ticking. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We need to be careful that the minutes reflect actually what we've done. And I'm going to hope that they do. But I have that reservation. I'd like to read the minutes to be sure that we've got it.
You will have that opportunity at the next
As
meeting.
usual.
We didn't do anything.
So
We didn't do anything.
we took no action.
Took no action.
I know, but I mean, the minutes are going to reflect that what we didn't do.
Well, we did what we had to do, which we didn't. I mean, we did, but we didn't have to do.
You know, Charlotte, just, so, you're headed down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
Do you want to do these?
Are you ready, your minutes?
Do you want to do the
Geez,
minutes?
that's not on the agenda, actually, is it?
No, but you should do it. You got it.
David,
You tabled them last.
oh, minutes, yeah.
Tabled some minutes.
We tabled the minutes at our last meeting because the only difference was Jennifer was here. But we hadn't had time to look at them, I believe. So that's not the minutes of the 10th, because that's the last time. August 11th, I mean.
Yeah, but August 11th minutes in the package for tonight. I
Yeah.
think there was minutes that you,
Yes, and I thought I put it in my packet.
from the last meeting too, so you're backing up a little bit.
I think you got July 14th, is it?
I think that's-
the minutes.
Yes.
July 14, yes, and I don't,
correct.
I didn't bring them with me.
I didn't bring them in.
If you guys want to talk about, well, do you want to table again then?
Yes. Motion to table, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank
I
you.
was not at that meeting.
So could we ask Dave that Barb put those minutes in the next packet, please?
They're online,
Okay.
just so you know.
Send her an email, send us an email, it'll get to our laptop.
I'll do that.
Oh, no.
I'll email you.
Okay.
I'll save the paper. I'll
Okay.
email you.
Oh, all right.
All right. So are you going to do the ones from the 11th?
Minutes from August 11, please. Let's see, you weren't here.
I was not.
Ah, that's why we
I was not here either.
Oh,
To start the discussion, I'll make a motion to approve.
okay, thank you. Moved and seconded. Any comments? Oh, Pete, you don't know, you can't comment.
Well,
Unless you just use your English.
I will say, in reading them, they were in great detail. I
Yes.
mentioned that earlier.
Yes, yep.
Well, we talked about that. If you watch the meeting and you read the minutes, you can vote.
There's nothing I've ever found that says you can't participate in the vote, in that vote.
Yeah.
Some people just do, but it's up to the
Yep, yep.
individual member.
Sure. Well, we need 3 voters at least, right? So we're good there, I think. You were here.
I was here.
Here. You were here.
Yes?
And I didn't have any
was here.
issues.
So,
You got to know.
You got to,
Yep.
yeah, I was not here, but you got to know.
No,
Okay.
You have
Me and
6.
I even watched some of them again.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
We got 4. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, you need 4 votes.
Yeah.
You were there? Oh, okay.
Yep. All right. Did I hear a motion? Yes, I did.
There's
John,
a
you-
motion and a second.
And I second, yes.
Second.
Okay.
Nope, Dan
Oh,
second.
Dan seconded.
Any comments either way? Okay. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstentions? 2. 1, 2.
Abstain, 2.
2 abstentions. All right. They pass. However, they approved. Thank you very much. All right, now we move to application of Gerlipups, I cannot pronounce it right, Incorporated for site plan review of a wetlands conditional use permit for the proposed construction of a 95,000 plus minus square foot industrial warehouse building and associated site improvements on the property located at 19 Continental Drive. Subject property is located in the CT1 Corporate Technology Park 1 zoning district. Tax map parcel number 47-7-2, and it's planning board case number 222-9. And I would ask Dave first if the case is ready to be heard. Whoops, where is it?
Turn it.
Uh-oh, this is an old picture.
Well, I'll let him handle that.
Okay. So my question, Dave, is this case ready to be heard?
In my opinion, it is complete for review purposes.
Okay, I'd like a motion to open this case.
Also move.
Second?
Thank you, thank you. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. And Dave, would you start us off, please?
Yeah, thank you. As you said, the applicant has submitted site plan and a wetlands conditional use permit application, and those documents dated May 31st, 2022 are included in your packet for review. Technical review committee meeting was conducted on June 24th, and I've put a copy of the TRC comment letter dated June 29th and the UEI comment letter dated June 27th in your packet for review. The applicant did present their wetlands conditional use permit to the Conservation Commission at their July 12th meeting, and I included the Conservation Commission's memo from Chairman Andrew Koff, where the states that the Conservation Commission recommended approval of the conditional use permit with the caveat, recommended approval with the following conditions. One was the applicant eliminates the parking spaces above the required parking amount, and the applicant explores alternatives to minimize the driveway. So I don't know if those, are after the fact condition, but they have done eliminated the parking spaces. I think parking space 75 75 are required and 75 are provided, so they met that. And then they can discuss how they've explored alternatives to minimize the roadway. The revised plans and supporting documents were received on July 28th in response to the TRC and UER comments, and I also include those plans as well. I have reviewed those. The majority of the comments have been addressed. I was unable to I reached out to UEI, but I haven't gotten a final review on that from them about their final comments, about the responses to the comments at this point. There are no waivers being requested by the applicant on this project, and in the event the board chooses to hold a site walk, I would ask the applicant to mark out the important features of the site, but I'm also prepared with suggested conditions of approval should the board decide to act. So I'm ready to, for whatever the board wants, how they'd like to proceed this evening. Thank you.
Good.
You guys ready?
Thank you, Dave. I'd just like to take a minute. Robin Tyner, a alternate board member, has arrived, and you will be acting this evening.
Okay.
We just finished the CIP for the most part, and just started on this case.
Okay.
Welcome. All right. So, Eric, the floor is yours.
All right, good evening. I'm Eric Sowry from Mulch Engineering in Portsmouth. I have with me a small cast of characters. We've got Brendan Quigley from Govan Environmental. He's going to talk about wetlands and the conditional use permit. Vicky Martell is here from Woodburn. She's a landscape architect. She'll talk about plants, ground covers, other fun things on the site. I also have Paul Roy from Procon. He's the project architect, and he's going to pass around a few glare-up samples to give you an idea of what we're really talking about here. Glare-ups is a shoe company from Denmark. They make the products that you see here that are being passed around. They're essentially sustainable felt slippers, which I understand because of the pandemic and working from home have become exceptionally popular. According to Paul, they're the most comfortable slippers he's ever worn. So pretty good. So their business has exploded. They currently have a distribution facility in Newfields that they are at the seams. They're just bursting. So they need a new facility. And so what we're looking at is 19 Continental Drive. I like the little ones, Paul. That's a nice touch.
Baby booties.
Oh, I think,
I would want
Give us any
those. Oh my God. He wants them back.
9.5.
Right there down there at the table for you.
Oh, Gwen.
Yeah, what color, Aaron?
Sure. Gwen, come on
She's
in.
going to sit next to me.
Hey, Gwen.
And you're.
Sorry about the interruption,
There on the
but
right.
The gang's almost all here.
these 6:30 meetings really throw us out.
I know.
Good evening, Gwen. It's a pleasure to have you here. Gwen is a regular member
Okay, so seriously nice product here without having tried them on or worn them.
They look really comfortable, don't they?
After all, you're right.
Are you,
I'm unacting wear mask.
okay.
Well, thank you.
I keep mine out if you're standing next to me just in case.
Maybe I'll step back.
What, you think I asked questions?
Sorry, we need to get adjusted.
No problem.
All right.
Well, we did kind of cause a disruption with passing around the samples, so the next time we'll do a brewery, we'll bring samples of that too. Back on track. We're at 19 Continental Drive, which is off of Epping Road, which I think you can see here. This is part of the industrial park, I believe, that was permitted in 2001. Oh, now I'm out of battery. Oh, really? All right, that's a fail.
Murphy's Law.
Do you have a pen? One out? Okay,
Oh,
okay. Justin, you got a point? Oh, well, let's go without it then.
Good.
Well, you can see the property outlined in the red here. It's accessed off of Continental Drive. It has its frontage on the right-hand side with an arm that sticks way out to Continental. That's where the cell tower is right now. There's no access there, though. It's at...
Show you real quick how to put your.
there's one right on there?
It's a digital one, so it will
cool.
pop up for the
I
people
love
who
it.
are watching on home. You just have to
Perfect.
click and hold it down.
Great.
So, yep.
we knew it'd come through.
We're on your money tonight.
Oh, I don't know what that was. Anyway, access is not from this location here. There's an access easement across this piece, which gets into the primary building envelope, which is this pentagonal piece in the back here. This section here is all forested. It does have sections of wetland and some floodplain, so we're looking at this area in here. It is all wooded right now. You guys may remember this project or this parcel from years past. This is, I think, the third time or fourth time there's been a proposal in front of this board. Every single proposal, prior to this one has been fully approved by the town and the state, and bad things seem to have happened. One guy died in a plane crash. Another one, they started clearing. The next day, the couple behind it got divorced, killed the project. So now maybe fourth time is a charm. So
Okay.
this is the existing addition. This shows, this is North Atlantic Power Systems right here. And this is an access easement across that property to the main building envelope in this area here. There are some wetlands here. Oops. Wetlands on the perimeter, including a vernal pool right in here. There's also wetlands down on this side and a little finger that goes up. It's interesting to note some of these wetlands were not on the original survey back from the prior plans. They've either grown or Gov Environmental is more conservative in their estimates. So it will look a little bit different from prior plans, but there is more wetland now. This is the finger of the property that goes out to Continental. Here's the cell phone tower right here. Area of floodplain right in here that we are not going to be disturbing. So this is the site plan. We're looking at a 95,000 square foot warehouse building. The building may be constructed in phases. Hopefully we'll do it all in one shot. We'll access it through the existing access easement here. If you were to go out there, there is like a gravel driveway there now going right to the property. And then we'll come into the site. This is the loading area here. It's kind of backwards. We've got the loading in the front, so to speak, but that's just the way the site was shaped, and that's the way it worked. So we've got 5 loading docks for tractor trailers, 2 for vans, and we've also got 2 drive-in roll-up doors, so if a vehicle ever needs to get in there, they can do so. And then we have perimeter drive going all the way around the perimeter. At this point, it doesn't work very well. We have 75 parking spaces. The majority are here. We also have 5 in the back, 4 back of house folk who will be in there towards the loading area. The applicant wanted to minimize their asphalt, so they decided to have us look at doing this whole section here in gravel. So that is not pavement, it will be gravel. We've also added in, those blue areas are stormwater treatment facilities. The 2 smaller ones on the bottom sides are bioretention cells, and we also have an infiltration pond, the big one on the upper left. Grading and drainage. Now the dark blobs, which really aren't supposed to be black on the screen, but the way they're showing up. Again, this one here is infiltration. That's the only area on the site where we had good soils, where we could actually do some infiltration. Everything else is really too tight to do infiltration. We do meet the state and the town requirements for that. And then the other 2 along the perimeter here are bioretention cells or rain gardens, also meeting the state criteria. The entire system is closed. It's going to be curbing the catch basins, and not a single drop of water comes off an impervious surface here that does not get treated before leaving. Let's see. erosion control, standard erosion control matting, riprap. We also have riprap slope along the bottom to help minimize some wetland impact. There are also some retaining walls. We got a retaining wall. This is not pointing very well. Okay, there we go. Retaining walls in here as well as up in here to minimize wetland impacts. That's essentially that. That's it for the sheet. This is the conditional use permit application plan, which I'm going to turn over to Brendan to discuss. If you would, sir. So that's the point.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Brendan Quigley from Gove Environmental Services here in Exeter. As Mr. Sharples mentioned, we were before the Conservation Commission. We also held a site walk with them. So we reviewed all these areas. I guess it would be better to have a larger plan, but the general condition on the site here is that it's pretty much surrounded by wetlands, including at the sole access to the property. The arm, as was pointed out, there's a lot of wetlands that bend around to Continental Drive, as well as some floodplains, so that's really not an option for access. What you're left with is the central upland area, which has obviously been the target for the bulk of the development. And then most prominently, a couple of fingers that extend quite a bit further uphill than the main body of the wetland. These wetlands do extend down to the Little River and the Little River Conservation Area, which abuts the property in this area here to the south. They are not, however, really part of the Little River Wetland Complex. These are sort of run-of-the-mill forested wetlands, located well upslope from those more valuable and more recognizable wetlands. Frankly, a lot of these forested areas wouldn't be recognizable to many people as really wet areas, particularly the fingers, which account for the bulk of the impact. We also do have a vernal pool that's located right here in close proximity to the shared driveway that extends from the existing cul-de-sac at the end of Continental Drive. This is obviously something we endeavored to avoid. We do have a small impact to the 75-foot buffer of that pool. But importantly, maintaining continuity with the other wetland areas and other upland areas on the site and off the site to minimize the effects on that feature. I am prepared to go through the conditions if the board would like that at this point, or we can wait to a different time later in the hearing. But with respect to the core concepts, the project meets those conditions, particularly with avoidance and minimization. The design really does maximize avoidance with the retaining walls and steep grading along this edge here, as well as generally trying to soften the edge in those buffer impacts, the rain gardens in particular, in addition to their water quality benefits. Although part of the development, they do provide a little bit of a softer edge. They will be vegetated when they're complete, and that's how they function. Other than that, the only temporary impacts are just temporary construction impacts at the base of the 2 retaining walls, and those will be restored following construction. Just a narrow area of a couple of feet. As required, I also produced a functions and values report. Identified three main functions of these wetlands by way of being associated with the Little River. Clearly, they have an important water quality function, which is probably made more or enhanced by sort of the circuitous route that water flows down that towards the river. There's no stream channels or really prominent flow paths where you have a direct shot to a surface water. So this sort of arrangement does make it important for that function. Sort of by the same arrangement and their location in conjunction with the large area of conservation land that's contained in the Little River Conservation Area, they would play a pretty important wildlife habitat role. That's particularly true at the Vernal Pool. But the forested habitat other than the Vernal Pool is more general and similar to a lot of the upland areas that are actually very similarly vegetated. And that too has been maintained to the greatest extent possible by not really bisecting the wetland in any places, maintaining that continuity of habitat outside the development area. The third function is for production and export, and this is a little bit come in a number of different forms. In this case, I think it probably most clearly relates to production of food sources for wildlife. And that's probably actually enhancing its current condition, which is several years, quite a few years past, almost 10 years past, when some areas of the site were logged or directly off-site was logged. So there's a lot of new growth of berries, bearing shrubs, which can be important food sources for wildlife, particularly birds and small mammals. That I can't see being affected at all by the proposed development, because most of the impacts are actually located in these sort of marginal forested fingers that extend uphill into the uplands. I think that's about all I had to say up front about wetlands. I'm certainly available for questions now or any time later on in the hearing.
Are some more people going to speak first?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear your full presentation.
Okay.
Because I'm sure we have questions.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, one more note on wetlands. This plan was modified from the initial submission. We did bring in this edge of pavement farther into the site. That reduced wetland impacts and buffer impacts. We also added signage along this perimeter, which is no snow dumping. So no snow will be dumped into the vernal pool buffer on this side. We also did remove some parking around the perimeter as well to get us down to the minimum required. Let's see what's next. Utilities. This is part of the industrial park. All the utilities are already there. They're already stubbed out. Everything comes right up the access easement, right up in front of North Atlantic Power, and we just continue them on in. Water, sewer, gas, everything is there. It's fantastic, actually. Very, very rarely would you see a site like that. There was one comment, I did go back and forth, Dave, with Allison at Underwood. There was one note she wanted to add to the plan. Dave's not listening. That's a note we can certainly get on there. It was something about testing of the existing water main section, which hasn't been operational since it was installed approximately 20 years ago. Lighting. We also made some changes to the lighting from the initial application. You'll notice this is a pretty dark site. Initially, or on most sites, you'd expect lights all the way around the perimeter. In this case, we removed all of them on this side here to minimize light impacts to the wetlands. The only lights you have are the little lights, if I can get the pointer right in there, which are above the emergency exits. So they're really just wall sconces. The only area you really have a lot of light is in the parking lot, which you do need for safety. And around the back, nothing on the perimeter. And the loading dock just has 2 poles. So everything's LED, dark sky compliant, and it should be a relatively dark site just to help protect the wetlands from glare and whatnot at nights. Details. I'll spare you those. Again, the lighting, you can see the cut sheets there, LEDs, full dark sky compliant. We've got landscaping, so I'll bring Vicki up to the podium if she wants to come up and speak. That's the pointer right there.
Hi, I'm Vicki Martell from Woodburn and Company Landscape Architecture. So it's a fairly simple landscape plan. There are about 15 disease-resistant elms that are scattered around the perimeter. There we go. So we get a group of them here, some along the entry in the back, and then a few in the parking area to provide some shade. So those are just meant to provide some buffering of the massing of the building and a bit of shading of the parking lot. As I said, they're disease resistant, so there's no risk of the dust elm disease affecting them. Then along the front of the building, we have a series of columnar maples, so they have a narrow canopy, so they'll fit within that narrow area and provide some breaking up of the massing of the front of the building. And then it's difficult to see here, but on either side of the entry, there's a planting of ornamental grasses, again, providing some softening of the building and ornamental interest. They're low maintenance, so they should be easy for the client to care for over time. They just need to be cut down once seasonally. So it's a fairly simple plan, but I think it'll work well for the site and look nice with the building.
Thank you. Okay. Architecture. All right, this is Paul Roy from Procon.
Good evening. I'll just give you a quick background also on what Glorups is. Glorups is actually the woman's last name, Nanny Glorups. And she made these felt shoes starting back in 1993. And then she made it for her husband and her family. It grew. You can now find these in LL Bean, Nordstrom's, REI. I got a pair. My daughter, who's in college, saw them. I had to get more. My wife saw them. I had to get more. They're extremely comfortable. And in the little brochure piece I handed out, there's a whole story of the group. Barry Ryan, who heads up Glorups in North America, it's his 66th birthday. So he's celebrating with his family. That's why I'm representing them today. The building itself is going to be very similar to the buildings that we built in the past out on Continental, to the Unitel building and to the gourmet gift baskets, structural steel, insulated foam panel systems. The group Glorups really fell in love with the site because they wanted it to have that woodsy feel, to be in the back. It was their suggestion to get rid of the outside lights because they wanted that whole feel of being out in the woods with their people and everything. If you read about the Glorups folks, it's all about the nature, the wool. It's perfect for their setting. The building itself will actually have some wood highlights on it, which is abnormal for an industrial type looking building, but it's also part of their heritage. And it's just the nature of their whole philosophy, if it will. The building, real simple. Structural steel, EPDM roof. We've looked at solar power potentially on the roof. Nothing much. Answering questions.
The front on the back?
That's the front where the people would be coming in. And the reason they wanted that is because they wanted the employees to look out into the woods.
Okay. Our Y in town is the same thing. back faces our YMCA.
Same thing with gourmet gift
Front's
baskets.
in the back, yeah.
Anything else?
This is warehouse only?
There'll be offices in here. They'll do their sales in offices, but there'll be no manufacturing. They do their manufacturing, believe it or not, in Romania, and they ship them here. And the wool is from sheep from New Zealand. So it's actually a combination of New Zealand sheep and sheep from Romania, and it's a special blend of, I believe it's called Gotland sheep, and it's a special woven. You can feel the thick and denseness of it. It's and you can wear them all year round. By the way, they're not hot in the summer, and they're real comfortable. So
Is this in addition to new fields or a replacement?
this is replacing new fields.
How big is the new fields facility?
They share it with Co-ed Naked Sportswear T-shirt company. I think there's somewhere around 25,000 square feet, something like that in there, but it's hard to tell because it's a shared type of thing. They're originally taking about 35,000 square feet of this space here, and with room to grow for it, as we talked, it would be potentially phased. They're all watching the economy to see which way it goes. This is a higher end shoe, so it costs a little bit more money than the normal slipper. So they're watching how it goes, but they're in desperate need of getting out of new fields.
And how big was the space again?
The whole building is 95,000 square feet. They're originally taking 35,000 of it right now.
Okay.
Building all of it?
Potentially. Tell me how the world's going to go.
So they can
grow.
compartmentalize?
That's correct. That's
Expanding the
correct.
parking lot, they gotta put them out.
That's a smart business move.
Yeah.
So when if they scale it, then is there less areas that hit buffers, and does that change the?
Potentially on either end. The building, as you can see, it would add one on either end of the structure.
Okay.
Can we get phasing plans?
It's just been starting to, originally we were going to do 95,000 square feet as it goes on, and when we started the project, everything was great.
Yeah.
Things change quickly.
I think the board needs phasing plans to understand.
Yes.
Because phase one could get built and then sit for a while. And
The goal is to do all the building right away.
I understand that, but if you get approval under this, then there is no phasing. You have to build it all. If you want a different, smaller plan of 35,000 with this and this, then, because drainage, everything's going to be affected.
I would say at this point here, we're going to be looking to build it all.
Okay.
Whether they take all the space is something else, but the building would be all 95,000
So
square
the
feet.
phasing will not be in construction, it'll be in how much is occupied.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Okay, I misunderstood that. I thought you said you
So
were going
I
to
thought-
you weren't going to build it all.
No.
That's how I.
You're going to build all the building and all the parking and all the drainage.
That's been the goal so far.
Gotcha.
And
All right,
the
perfect.
occupancy may be phased.
Correct.
That's what
That's
you're
fine.
committing to.
Correct.
So we're getting 95 square feet, 95,000 square feet.
95,000 square feet of structure.
Yeah.
No question.
Well, that's the application.
Yeah,
That's the application.
Build it and they'll come.
Okay.
If it's going to be less, you'd be back here again.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
if they put a building permit in for 35,000, then they'd have to come back and see what you're
Correct.
doing there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. I misunderstood. I thought they were.
No, thank you, because now we're all on the same page, because some of us here also took it, we did, so.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that's it. I mean, there's a few more angles of the building if you want to take a peek. This is another shot of the front or the back, I guess. From the corner, this is the loading area that you'd see approaching it from Continental. And that is it.
So it shows a big grass yard. Is that in fact?
There is a grassy area. It's the grassy knoll. Let me see. Go to the landscaping plan.
Okay.
Grassy knoll. That
Weird
section, I think, is,
connotation.
right? The section you're talking about, I believe, is in here. They didn't add the trees into the rendering just because it would block the building.
Okay.
So in real life, there would be trees there. But
Okay.
it's definitely grass underneath it.
Okay.
Right? Yes.
Well, I just, it's, when you look at it, it looks like manicured grass,
Yeah, well,
which
it's-
isn't the environmentally
it's
friendly thing next to the,
computer-generated,
yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, I think at this time, I'd like to entertain any questions from any member of the team here.
How about the board? Any questions? thoughts, concerns?
Open to the public real quick.
We can do that, open to the public as well. Anybody in the public like to speak? Come on up and speak, and then I'll keep it open for a while, but while that's happening, we'll see if the board has some questions.
Back into there.
I can start.
Okay.
Something.
Aaron?
I'm not sure who wants to speak on it, but I'd like to hear your feedback on the Conservation Commission letter that we got with some proposed conditions.
Yep. They had two conditions, one of which is eliminating parking above the required minimum. We did get that down to 75. We killed 17 spaces on the whole thing there. And the second condition was explore alternatives to minimize the roadway. As I mentioned before, we did move.
Can you go back to the, show it?
Let's go.
Please, thank you.
Both.
No, one more.
We went through it pretty quickly. Go ahead.
You want to go with that one?
C1, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We did move this section of the perimeter roadway in. We also looked at a turnaround back in here, but that really didn't work out for a couple of reasons. One is if you've got a tractor trailer guy who drives down in there, he's not coming out without a full cul-de-sac, and there's just no room for that. Second, the fire department was really adamant about having the perimeter driveway. In a building this big, you need to have life safety access around all four sides if you can. In this case, we did have some room for that. So that is what we looked at. But as I said, we did minimize the road by pulling it in as much as we felt comfortable doing, in addition to doing some other things that weren't on their conditions, and the lighting, steeper slopes, and the snow storage restriction as well.
So, full perimeter road, is that roadway all paved?
No, it's gravel starting.
Dark.
These two landscape in the dark
gravel
area here.
okay.
Yep, that's gravel.
Compacted gravel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's okay with the fire department?
Yeah, yep, everything's going to be plowed. There's no need for gates or anything like that, so it will be fully maintained year-round.
So, Eric, I'd like to push you on that one a little bit. Does the compacted gravel really accomplish a lot, or is it?
In terms of the infrequent traffic it's going to see, yeah, I think it's going to hold up fine. Yeah, I think what you get is facilities like this have the same truck driver.
Yeah.
So he's going to make that mistake once.
Yeah.
So it's really not going to happen too often. And again, we hope there's never going to be a fire. So hopefully that won't get used as well. Most people are going to go out of the facility the way they came in.
Yeah.
So yes, some staff will definitely, once they figure it out, they can get around here, they'll do it. But I think everyone who comes in on the paved road is going to leave on the paved road. So it's not going to see a lot of traffic, but it is going to be built to, a standard where you could pave it later if you wanted to. It wouldn't affect the stormwater. The gravel base is still going to be there.
Right, that's true.
So,
what's that? It will be plowed, yes, sir.
I look at that as a maintenance hassle.
It could be if it's not done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so if the UPS truck comes with some office supplies, they're going to come in and go around the
If they come, they come in the
end?
back. There's all sorts of
All that's
loading.
going to come in there?
All the deliveries of any kind are supposed to come in the back.
Okay, so you're not going to see Amazon swinging around the building?
Well, the Amazon guy, given who knows who the heck that is, some driver from Massachusetts, you know what I mean? He may go to the front door, but everything is intended to go to the back.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you did do something with phasing, whatever happens, before you start to build, and you made it sound like it would be, the ends, like incremental, which end would be shortened?
It's not happening.
Yeah, in this proposal, it's not happening. If it were to happen, we'd have to come in with a new proposal.
Okay.
Just to entertain your thought, I would think that they would build the core first, the middle, to get all the loading docks and all the utilities in place, and not build the two sides.
Okay.
In either case, though, all the infrastructure would have to be built. All the utilities, all the stormwater, everything that you see, including the parking and driveways, all of that would have to be built.
So regardless, the road stays the same,
It stays the
no
same.
matter what?
Exactly. The envelope
Okay.
doesn't change.
Okay.
Yep.
Because when we reviewed it, the TRC, it was all pavement.
Yep.
You didn't change your drainage at all. So the drainage is treated as its pavement?
Yeah, compacted gravel is always treated like an impervious surface.
Yeah, but the curve numbers are a little different. It's
a
like
little
89 to
different, but
91 or something like that.
This DES wants us to treat it like pavement.
Okay, 'cause the reason why I was going with that is and to your point, Aaron, I'm like, I don't see the difference really between, and except on the maintenance side of it.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to change that to pavement, then technically they would create impervious surface area, so they would come back. But I'm thinking, are we treating this as pavement? So
I am treating it.
I would suggest that you leave it as paved, to be frank.
That
I
would be-
appreciate you're trying to.
That would be my personal preference, but that's the client's ask.
Okay.
They want us to go
because I
that
didn't
route.
think
Yeah.
that didn't.
I'm a pavement guy.
It kind of was
Yeah.
presented, I thought it was presented as like in reaction to the Concom to
That's how
minimize
I-
pavement, but that was not discussed. I never
Yeah,
had
it's
that,
just
that this is like, okay, this isn't what we discussed. We discussed losing one of those, particularly the north side, because it was within the vernal pool and it really wasn't needed. It was, both ways around, and tractor trailers aren't gonna go there. You could put signs, no tractor trailers beyond this point.
Right.
I mean, if they do it once, then they'll never do it again, as he
hopefully
said.
not.
So, well, if they do it twice, okay.
Shame on
So it's like, it would remove that, that in, out of the buffer, and so forth. That was kind of the discussion of minimizing the pavement's impact. It had nothing to do with changing pavement to gravel.
Yeah,
And I believe our regs require parking areas to be paved. So I believe that should be paved.
I didn't see, but if you want us to do that as a condition, I'm happy to entertain that.
I that should be.
I think that's right.
Okay.
You require that.
I mean,
It doesn't change
emergency
the
access,
drainage.
the access from the end of the parking lot out to the other one, just as a fire emergency access, I guess you could get away with gravel, we've done that before.
Right.
Yes.
But parking areas, I mentioned that. I didn't catch it in this one because it didn't run into it until just the last submission.
Well, if you guys want, we can do this whole parking lot here as pavement and leaving this as gravel, as the
It's in our
safety
specs.
access. It is in the spec,
in the
okay.
standard specs
I guess
of
we're gonna
Public
change it
Works.
then. So we'll happily take that as a condition. If we were to do that, I guess we are doing that. I would also extend the sidewalk to go all the way down to the bottom here so that these parking spaces would touch up to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Mr. Sarr, if you want to shed any light on the discussion regarding the parking spaces that you had originally requested and removed. Do you want to enlighten us on
Yeah,
that
could you
dialogue?
back up to tell us how you came up with the number of spaces
Yeah,
and what you did?
it's based upon what they anticipate to be their largest shift at full max capacity at 95,000 square feet.
Okay.
So that's what they need. I
Again.
originally put more because more is better and I had some room for it. So in this case, we went around and brought it right back down to the 75, which is the demand.
Yeah.
So I killed, I think 12 spaces up in here and another 5 in the back. So we did have a reduction there.
And you think that's going to satisfy them?
It's
Their use?
the number that's on the plan is what they need. So that's the minimum.
Okay. Sometimes we do where we'll have people show them future potential additional parking.
I did that right in here. There's 12 spaces that I
Yeah, I see that.
included in the drainage.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to, let's say 20 years from now, it's not clear if it's somebody
Right.
else and they need more parking. It's already on the plan. They've got to come to the planning board, but the drainage is already accounted for.
Right.
All they've got to do is strip the loam, the gravels are there, and they just put down some asphalt and, adjust the catch basin.
Yeah,
Simple.
Yeah, we try to help people streamline a little bit, minimize impact as long as they can. If it's approved, then they usually don't have to see us again, which is usually something they appreciate.
Yeah, in this case, they would not have to expand the envelope at all.
Right, yep.
But you said the 75 is based on full capacity, 95,000
Yes,
square feet, right?
yes.
Okay.
Gwen, have you?
Just have on the area of road closest to the Vernal Pool, is that, I know you said you were probably going to put up signs to warn people about plowing, and I'm just wondering, sometimes those don't get observed as we'd like them to, and I'm just wondering if you would potentially consider putting some kind of fencing along that strip so that there wouldn't be a temptation to do that, and that maybe, I can see that that's not,
I don't know.
I just don't, that's a sensitive area, and it would be nice to have that little bit of extra guarantee that that will be protected as best possible, but just a thought.
And we've said that at the TRC many times. We've never seen a plow driver with a set of plans.
Right.
In this case, that's
Sitting
what-
on the, oh yeah, that,
That's it.
right.
But we've got 5 signs out there, I think at 50-foot intervals, so you really can't miss them. So that's the intent, hey, don't put snow here.
With a little landscape activity out there, a few bushes.
That may.
I mean, that would be backing up, so the plowed snow, I assume, would be there, but
Even like native bushes that are just...
Native bushes, I
Yeah.
don't know. We don't have a bush.
So where would they go? How would they plow that?
I don't know.
Well,
Assuming they see the signs.
okay, everything is intended on that site to go into the middle here. You got that large area that is trees and grass. It's got snow storage written right here, and then the snow storage, of course, on the perimeter, all the way on the interior. So that should handle. There's plenty of room for snow storage.
Oh, no, I'm not saying where it's gonna be located. I'm just saying how, because they're not using a V-wing, they'd
I
have to
think
use a
just
wing.
angle the plow
They're gonna
left.
go this, they're gonna loop.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to loop, they can't turn around, 'cause the plow's, unless they move their plow.
Yeah, I think in this case, they just have to angle left. That side is actually better, because this side, the Vernal Pool side, has curbing, where the other one does not. So that's more of a physical barrier as well. So you're rubbing your plow up against curbing versus just sending it over the side on the left.
Could we see the landscape
Is that
slide
Cape
from there,
Cod?
please?
No, it's granite.
Granite curving?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Otherwise,
Always
they would
granite.
have been
Oh, yeah.
asking for a waiver, so.
That's right.
In this climate, always granite. Landscaping, yeah. So it's grass, that area is grass with these elms in a row here, which, how big would the elms get, Vicki?
They'll be significant, because they're maturely 50 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you put the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if they survive the first couple of weeks, push over. Might go to that.
Yeah, it'll take some time, but they'll get there eventually.
So it appears in the plan that site preparation is not going to go very much further from the proposed roadway then.
No, it's not. Let me find, let's see, let's go to the grading plan.
Do you?
Actually, this one's going to be better. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, there's a blue line around the perimeter here. That is perimeter sediment control. That's silt fence or a sediment log. That's going to be as far as it goes. And during construction, you're going to have a barrier there for the whole time that earthwork is active. So no sediment's going to get past it, and obviously no vehicle's going to drive over it because it's a barrier.
Yeah, that's tight to go. That's good, yeah.
The intent in that location was try to pull those slopes in as much as we could.
Did you say that the site has been cleared, but it
part
has
of it.
got new growth on it?
Yeah, part of it, let's see. I think it shows up on the existing conditions. You can't really see it well, but there's a little fuzzy line right in here. That's as far as they got in one day before everything fell apart between, I guess it was the marriage of the two partners. They ended up getting a divorce. So everything was permanent. They said, go start clearing. They cleared for one day. And so that was 10 years ago, maybe. So it's all secondary growth now. So
There's small trees back in there. There's small, that I cross-country ski up in there in winter, and there's small trees, and it's easy to get. It's,
it's
fairly open. There's
walked
deer
it.
beds a lot.
Yeah, I walked it. It's got a lot of little pine trees, little beaches and things like that, as well as some raspberry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually pretty tight. The rest of it is more woodland.
This is kind of going back in history, but was this a tennis court?
It was.
Exactly.
That's what, okay.
Yeah, it was a tennis club. There was a health club before that, and I think there was one other iteration as well.
I think there's 2 tennis clubs.
Was it two tennis clubs? Okay. Obviously not a good spot for tennis. But
They had pickleball.
if they had pickleball, hey, you know,
What happened, right?
tennis was before the pickleball's time.
So do you guys think we want to do a site walk? What are you thinking?
Yes.
I know you're familiar with it, but you want to see it again?
I'd like to.
Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with it.
Sidewalk, Pete?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I'll go.
Dan, you like to go out walking once in a while, don't you?
I'd be happy to go. I've been there.
Right.
When I was on the select board, I toured.
Oh, okay.
that walk.
If I might give a word of caution to the board, it's pretty thick in the back, and building corners and some interim points along the walls are staked out, and I know my way around, I know where everything's supposed to be. I couldn't figure out where it was. It's difficult to visualize the entire site, because one, the building is huge, and second, it's just so thick. You stand on one stake and you can't see the next one.
Yeah.
So I could sit there and tell you, this is where the wall goes, but
And the way you get into it's kind of odd.
yeah.
That is.
Whole setup.
Yeah, it's-
I kind of got lost last night. I tried to visualize it, and I didn't want to go to the woods.
Yeah.
What do I sense?
Wayne said she'd like to walk.
It's
can arrange it when I can make it, yeah.
All right.
We can always have people standing where the stakes are and, right, waving and using flags.
Balloons.
The balloon.
So is there setting up time?
Yeah, let's set up a time.
Not very environmentally friendly.
Yeah, about 5 o'clock. Well, I don't know.
In the morning.
Or in the morning, okay. Like 8:30? Yeah.
What day are you looking at? Fine.
We have no idea. But the other thing, sometimes we do it a little bit closer to the next meeting.
Right.
When are they,
I think it's the 8th.
when will they be back?
Next meeting.
Or do you?
Well, I didn't hear
do we
anything
know?
that was gonna be like a major revision. I mean, that would be easy to change it back to pavement, because I think you already had
Yeah,
it.
that's
And
easy.
then, submit revised, I think they could go on the September, where you could turn that around by September 1st.
I can turn this around tomorrow.
Exactly,
It's
so
that-
September 1st, so it's September 8th, so it's a couple, before then. Let me grab my phone. Into a calendar.
Yeah, get your phone.
I'm on vacation.
Do you guys have it staked now?
The first.
The corners are staked as well as some interim points from the building corner. As I said, you stand on one and you really can't see the next one.
Yeah.
Terrible timing.
Maybe if the leaves are down, but
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to visualize.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
Can't we do it that morning?
Right.
When would you want some of the wetland areas?
all the wetlands should still have flags hanging from when it was delineated. So that's going to be the easy thing to see, actually.
When would you like some of the wetland areas noted somehow on the sidewalk?
Oh, boy.
Mr. Sari said it's already flagged,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's probably
that's probably
flagged
enough.
already.
I'll see them.
All right, that's good.
What's flagged out there, the building corners?
The wetland.
Show the vernal pools,
More than the
wetlands.
corners is going to, I'm probably going to have them restake it every 50 feet just so that we can see what's going on.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
think they're at 150 now and you just can't.
and
just get it
vernal
out.
pool, wetland flags, they're all still there, right?
They are.
Yeah. I was out there doing test pits about a month and a half ago and there's still a lot of flags out there.
Okay.
When are you on vacation?
Well,
Next week or the week after.
We just realized we're on this vacation the same time. I'm first, she's second through, when are you back?
It's the week of the first week.
Yeah, I'm back on the 7th.
So are you here for the 8th meeting?
Are you?
No,
Neither am I.
Oh, you're not going to make the meeting?
not the 8th. Unfortunately.
Would it be better just to let you guys walk it on your own?
It might be.
Can.
I mean, we don't have a problem with that.
Can I maybe walk it with you so you can point things out for me?
Are we gonna have a quorum for the 8th?
well, what's the date of the meeting?
Got a lot of alternates not here.
Thursday, the 8th is September.
Everyone's here, so,
On the 8th?
Jen's not here.
oh, Jen's on here, right?
That hurt.
I could make
Right,
it.
I forgot. We added, I thought we had 8, we added 9.
The 8th is the Thursday, our meeting, yeah.
I'm on a red eye coming back from Alaska that supposedly gets in the morning of the 8th, so as long as nothing happens crazy with the flight.
You're going to be in Alaska that week? Mm-hmm. I'll be in the same boat.
4. Are you going to Alaska?
We need 4, at least.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
We have 4.
Okay,
We're all right.
all right.
Okay. 8th?
All right, so it sounds like we're not coming to a consensus on a site walk, so Mr.
that's
Sari suggested
so-
that we have permission to go on our own, and it sounds like it's
Thank
already
you.
staked.
Yeah.
So
If you want, I can add some extra stakes out there just to sort of help.
they have
you.
some really good mapping software now, too. I don't know, like literally GPS stuff.
Yeah, you should know.
They really do. And if you, there's one called OnX Hunt.
But the
that I
problem
can
is, I don't know if
turn
it has this tied into the plan.
No,
But you'll know where you
find
are.
the
Where the
stakes,
property
you can
lines.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
It's a
relation,
square building, pretty much.
yeah, the Hunt one does the property line, right?
Pretty good, yeah.
I've heard of that one.
The Hunt one does property line?
Yeah.
It does.
All the property lines, it's actually pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's pretty
It's
cool.
really good.
All right.
Okay, what's the name of that again, Aaron?
Well, I get a kickback with everybody that joins. Just kidding. It's called OnXHUNT. I think it's like $6 or $8 a year. And I use it for walking property, and it's really good. It shows you, it's a hunter. It's designed for hunters. I don't hunt, but it tells you whose property you're on. It actually will tell you the map and lot and who owns it.
Oh, that's good.
It's off of the assessor's card.
So it's become a real
It shows you
estate
the
app.
boundaries. Yeah, it's really
I'll try to
helpful.
get that
So if you
before
took
we walk.
that with
If I
that,
get a new phone.
even a little
great.
sketch, and you had a stake on the corner, you'd be, have a pretty good idea where you're gonna
It's
be.
hard for me to see.
Best you're gonna do without a drone, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, that sounds like we're gonna have a hard time with a consensus on a walk if we got a lot of vacation issues and travel issues, so why don't we do it on our own, huh?
Okay. Sure. Ready, set, go. There'll be a pad out there for people to sign into.
I mean, my other thought would be tonight maybe to work through some of Gove's feedback on the wetland stuff, because I'm not hearing any other issues amongst the board.
That's true.
With this project other than environmental impact. So maybe we'll want
Let's try
to
that.
allow them to work through some of that dialogue with us.
Yeah, let's do that.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense to me.
All right.
I think we can start that conversation.
I'm going to bring Brendan back up.
Bring him up here and
Okay.
let's look
Well,
at the...
before we leave, wait a minute, just before you go,
Yes, Peter.
help me now. Steve Curno's report will be part of the record here?
It will be part of the record as part of the application, as well as a supplemental memo
So
that he issued.
That is his report, and that hasn't been modified?
That has not been modified.
Okay.
It's essentially, just so the rest of the board knows for your edification, it essentially says that the level of service at the intersection of Continental and Epping Road will not change.
Yes.
So, very simple. Low traffic because it's mostly
No
warehouse.
major impact.
No major impact. Right. Exactly.
But again, there's a cumulative impact, which is always kind of sticks in my craw.
Because we never really measure it.
It's this project, but then the next project and the project after
Right.
that. And I just have to express my concern again, and I've expressed it before, as the cumulative impact of these, it's a little bit here and a little bit there, but
little bits add up.
sooner or later,
If the same data is being used from 2011, sorry, Dan, then it's not bringing in all the extra cars yet.
I would also point out the state just redid that intersection. Now it's a signalized intersection, so there's not a lot more than anyone could do. Well, you did that. Okay.
That was my point. My point is that the town added to the TIF so that we could put a signal in that intersection and handle future impacts.
Yeah, that is true.
So I think we're set.
well, but again, we're getting it on both sides.
That was the intention.
Yes,
The intention was,
once again, I've got to express my concern.
I understand.
And we continue to have these reports from a very reputable individual. But again, we got to add them up and add them up and add them up. And sooner or later, when we...
Well, then that's...
Okay, but now remember also, considering we have that large gateway to Exeter, which is going to be putting additional pressure, if you will, not unnecessarily on the intersection, but nonetheless, that mile or so in there is going to, well, I've said my piece. Once again.
I'll tell you where we're at with that. I understand, because, not a significant impact, not a significant
Right.
impact equals a significant impact.
Right.
But each individual piece is
Right.
insignificant,
Right.
it's just 2%. It's just, but then you add 2% 20 times and you got 40%. So
Right.
we understand that, but instead of trying to go to each developer and determining it because there was so much development out there, the town felt it best to look at it from a holistic approach with TIF funds. We did a corridor study on that. We looked at this parcel, we included this parcel, actually more square footage because the old one was like 200 something square feet of distribution. So actually this parcel was already incorporated in that traffic study that the town did with their consultants and their funding, so it wasn't an applicant situation. It was our traffic engineers working, our consultants working for us, determine what improvements were going to be needed in that entire corridor. And we are actually in that, including this lighted intersection, and we are already to the point we final designed that section from Cronin Road, which is the start of our urban compact, down to the lights. So we are making those improvements. So I understand, but I think the town has, through the TIF, is adjusting that for recognizing that development's going to happen, and these are the improvements that are needed, and we're going to pay for it through the TIF funding.
And we not only added a signal, we've added lanes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then, upgrading that intersection.
Yeah, sidewalks, we're adding sidewalks, we're adding widening, and so forth.
Right.
You're right to be concerned.
All right, it's a great point.
Yeah.
But
He always brings it up, he's good at that.
you were out ahead of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I think it's a good, thank you for reminding, at least me, that that was included and factored in that report. It helps because I'm with Pete. I want to make sure that we are taking the accumulative thing. Even if it's accounted for, we still want to keep an eye on it.
Well, if the intersection doesn't work, it's going to kill off the development because people are going to not want to be there.
Well, we don't want to do that, right? So wouldn't we want to stay ahead of it just to make sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question, if I could ask one quick one before we get into.
Please.
And it's just a silly one, but you had said that you had one more note from Allison to check the water main, but I didn't hear if you said you actually checked it.
The water main has not been tested. Has not been tested.
Yes.
It's been lying dormant for 20 odd years since it was installed.
That's all I heard,
Yeah, so what she recommended was an isolation valve at the property line and test that one portion, and it's just one note that we need to add to the utility plan, and that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dave, I don't know, on Mr. Sari's letter from June 14th regarding the conditional use permit application, on item 3, he states that in conjunction with the forthcoming wetlands permit application, Go Environmental Services conducted a full function and value assessment, which is attached to this correspondence. I don't see it in my packet, and I was looking for it last night. I don't know if I'm missing something. Does anybody have it?
Yeah, that, I don't believe, because I got a packet too, it's in the file, but I don't believe Barb sent you that.
Okay.
It's part of the packet. I don't know if we usually, does she usually send that?
Yeah.
Yes. Always interesting.
It's just something I like to look at.
No, understood. I noted that it wasn't, I didn't see it either, but it's in the file. But we can certainly, I don't know.
So we have it,
Yeah,
meaning the
certainly.
town has it.
The town
It just didn't
has-
get distributed to the board.
That's my
And that
understanding.
piece,
Okay.
maybe just sent in a PDF or something?
Town has it, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember. It was sent to the Concom, right?
yeah, I believe it was requested at technical review
Yeah.
and subsequently provided before the Conservation Commission hearing.
Yeah.
Anything you want to share with us in that report?
Well, I defer most, I mean, this is what Kristen Murphy, our natural resource planner, she dives in this, does the majority of this review and works with the Conservation Commission and so forth, so she would be better prepared to, in depth about functions and values of the wetlands, but also Brendan is here.
So I guess I'm going to trouble you to request a copy of that before the next meeting, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
Thanks.
Yeah, you got it right here.
Well, I asked him up to try to discuss any wetlands concerns people have, because I don't think this is going to vote tonight. If we're going to be blocking property, we're obviously not voting tonight. And it would be nice to put any concerns we have with the wetlands impacts out there now versus another hearing. In fairness to the applicant, and in my opinion, this is a pretty squared away application. I think it's a pretty solid use of the property, and it's exciting, and hopefully it gets built. It's been a bad luck parcel for a little while, so hopefully that's not the case. And I think the whole thing comes down to wetlands impact. I think other than that, I think they've dealt with their lighting issues, they've done a reasonable landscape plan for what it is. It's gonna be what, you're planting trees for the employees, I mean, it's not high-traffic locations on a retail spot.
Well, we do like that, buildings.
With trees.
So you feel good that you work there because you go buy some trees as you
A
go
lot
to
of
work.
trees on the other side of that building too, though. It's in the middle of trees, so. I'm just saying, I think they've done a great application here, so I think it's really just discussing the wetlands at this point, right? And I personally don't need a sidewalk, but I'm not the only member on this board, and I respect the other members of the board, and I understand when people want to look at it with the application in mind, so. Do you have any questions on the wetlands, Gwen, you want to discuss at all?
No, my comment is kind of in keeping with Pete's comment about traffic. It's like site after site after site, we get wetland issues, we get wetland buffer issues, and we put our little flag up and say, go for it, we're okay with all this, but it's the cumulative effect of having impacts on all of these wetlands, and it makes a difference. And so I struggle with applications when I look at my plan and see huge areas of parking that are in the buffer, or we've got wetlands that are being compromised, and I was excited for a moment when it sounded like maybe this building wouldn't be as big as it is. I understand that that's not the case. You're going to build it at 95,000 square feet, but if it were smaller, I would sure feel a lot better because it wouldn't be impacting as much as it is in this current design. But
I do echo those concerns because I think we even brought it up a year or two ago, or maybe I did, of what you said, the 2%, 2%, and all of a sudden you're at 40%,
right,
which isn't this particular project, but what is the accumulation of, it's just a little bit of wetlands.
Right.
And are we measuring that anywhere? How many little bits have we had in the last 5 years? I don't know that we're tracking that.
when we did the previous master plan, which was back in the early 90s, there was a statistic that came up that said if you have a certain percentage of impervious surface within a given area, if you exceed that, you are compromising the groundwater. That's having an impact. We had reached that level in Exeter in the early 90s, and we've built so much since then, and it just makes me think, wow, we've gone beyond the threshold, and what is going to be the long-term effect of that on our drinking water? Water is like gold now around the world, and I just think we can't take that for granted.
There is a couple of responses on that point, which is certainly a valid concern. The stormwater management, for one, has gotten quite a bit better over the years, and I'm not an engineer, but my understanding is that it does a much better job at addressing those water quality issues, which is one of the things I point out in my analysis. Because water quality is one of the primary functions of these wetlands, we want to be sure with a project to mitigate those effects with things like stormwater management. The drive to use, rain garden type features, the bioretention areas, has a double benefit. They are very good at water quality renovation, and they also provide, like I said, a little bit of a softer edge. Secondly, just from a larger point of view, this whole subdivision, this was sort of envisioned as an area to do this type of development, and as a result, protected the 200-plus acres behind it that's now the Little River Conservation Area. So that's not to say that we're relieved from our responsibilities of minimizing impacts and mitigating them in other ways. But a lot of the most important protection has, in a sense, already been accomplished in this area by doing that. So now we're way up gradient, and we're dealing with sort of the little entities which are important, like the fingers that go uphill here. But a lot of those really important wetlands are already conserved. So that's I think that's an issue that we work a lot in this area, and we've actually been reminded by various members on this board and the commission to remind folks of that.
And it's clear that I think the people behind this project are trying to be good stewards, but I mean, I live on that river as it comes down, which is why, and I know in the years that I've lived there, we used to see beaver every day, otters a lot. We don't see them anymore from a couple of developments. Even with all that taken into consideration, a lot of that wildlife has left. It's just depressing to canoe this year up to where we used to portage over the beaver dams, which are clearly nothing's living there, or hasn't in a year or two. So it's not necessarily on these folks who seem like they're doing everything they can to meet all the requirements and all the rules, but in general, to think about that area, I think it's very sensitive, and there has been some degradation there. Mm-hmm. And you live there too, so maybe, I don't know if you've seen the same.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do any work on the other piece that I'll call it the lamb chop part of this lot that the cell tower's on, that it can't be used because of the cell tower? What functions is that piece serving for as part of this whole project?
Yeah, well, for this project, it's essentially not, it's part of the lot.
Right.
But there's no possibility of access to the property from this arm. To be honest, I haven't walked that whole thing. There's a part that gets pretty wet. I think it's where there's actual 100-year floodplain that extends up into this area.
So that will be able to continue as it lives now, so to speak.
There'll be no impact to this area at all. I mean, it's pretty well removed. You'd have to go.
I mean, there's a lot of land there. As you look at that view, that's not being bothered. Is my point.
No, it's not being touched, and that's not only because of the layout, which is probably not convenient in a lot of ways, but it's also because of the resource areas. An option, if it were an option to put an access road through there, which I think is the only thing you could really do on a narrow piece of property like that, would involve a significant amount of wetland impact. So that's. So
in a way, it provides a pretty wide buffer along that section of land. There's a building to the right next to the road. That's all built out.
Yeah, one of Mr. Sari's comments from his June 14th letter is that 65% of the site, plus minus, will remain in its natural state.
Yep.
Post-construction. That's pretty significant.
It is, yeah. I guess that's part of my...
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Let's go to the order tonight. So if you have time, please take time to go down, and the stakes are there, and we're welcome to try and walk out there. Just a quick question. Coming off the cul-de-sac that you're connecting the driveway to, Does that become part of that? Is there a legal arrangement for that to be used? Is that going to become a town road, that section of it, or?
This section here?
Yeah.
That's the driveway, and there is an easement for access.
There is an existing easement.
Yeah.
There is an existing easement, and if you guys, right in the little elbow here where this driveway sort of turns in,
Yeah,
the
right
road
there,
sort of
yes.
goes straight. It's gravel, so it's a good part.
You're not going, yeah. I just want to, sometimes it's that connecting link that won't work.
Okay. It's there, it's access and utilities and drainage, it's everything. There's also a signed easement up on the cul-de-sac.
We'll make sure that we got that to you first. Okay, so we will continue this case at our next meeting. We don't need to do anything else than that. There's no other questions? You folks need any more from us? Okay. So we go on a walk if we have time and go from there, so.
Do you do a motion to continue or not? We usually do a motion to continue.
Okay, sure, let's do that.
It's continuing, right? We do a motion for that?
Yeah, I would just move to request to Glare Inc. For site plan approval and a wetlands conditional use permit be tabled until the September 8th planning board meeting at 7 p.m.
Took the words right out of your mouth.
So moved.
So that one's at 7, not 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the only one of the year that 6:30.
The board will all be here at that time, including me.
Oh, he's gonna take his shoes back now.
Oh,
We were gonna try to trade.
Couldn't even put her hand in for it.
Didn't get you approved.
Oh, it's going to come out.
Different style.
We had pairs. It's like one shoe. Come on. One shoe.
Thank you very much. Oh, no, we got to vote on that. Voice vote, please. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Ayes have it.
We're assuming ayes.
Thank you.
Well, I got to take a count here now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right, I had to
You unseated me.
Glenn
Me
showed
and
up.
unseated.
All right, thank you guys,
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well done. All right.
I mean, Barb.
Do you want your pamphlets back, or do we get to keep those?
No, that's the
I'll keep
marketing.
in mind.
That's the marketing, but that's good because I want to read it. Instead of St. Gwen.
What would you have done if the shoe was on the other foot? Oh.
I would have just moved it. I can't wear them unless I figure something out. I'm allergic to wool.
Are you, is it like your feet?
Not me, my neck, everything. I could probably.
9.5.
Like you were.
Like blue.
Right, slippers, like, yeah.
I can't wear it on my neck, but I can wear
So vampires were.
What's that?
but I can wear it smart myself. I can wear those.
I tried.
Those are cute.
The young whippersnappers.
I know that. I'll have to look at
What's that? Oh, you need this? There you go. That's fine.
Why don't I just,
Throw it just
just stay organized here?
I bring the
Okay.
computer because I get tired of the paper.
Okay, the next item on the agenda this evening is an application of Brentwood Distribution LLC for a site plan review of a proposed expansion of the existing laydown area for the mulch and forest products processing facility located at 91 Pine Road in Brentwood. This subject property is located in the RU Rural Zoning District. This tax map parcel number 30-3 and number 43-2. Planning Board case number 22-10. And I asked Dave if we are ready to hear this case. Or if the
In
case
my
is ready to be
opinion, the
heard.
application is complete for review purposes.
Thank you. Is there a motion, please?
Yes, so moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you. Dave, would you like to start us off, please?
Sure. The applicant is seeking site plan approval for the proposed expansion of, there's an existing laydown area for the PR Russell Mulch and Forest Products Processing Facility located off Pine Road in Exeter and Brentwood. The majority of the site is in Brentwood, but this expansion extends over the town line into Exeter. It's not accessible from Exeter. It's accessed from Brentwood Road, but it's in Exeter, so therefore triggers our site plan approval process.
Okay.
And the proposed expansion in Exeter measures 161,500 square feet, about 3.5 acres. The applicant submitted a site plan and supporting documents dated June 24th for review. The TRC meeting was conducted on July 14th, and a copy of the TRC and UEI comment letters, both dated July 19th, are enclosed. The applicant did provide a TRC response letter and a response to the UEI comments. I have reviewed those. Also, anyone who made comments, staff who made comments, they've satisfactorily addressed all of the TRC comments. I did get out and try to hear from UEI, but I haven't heard from the final, from their review of their responses. The applicant is requesting a waiver from section 7.4.7 of the board site plan review and subdivision regulations for the location of significant trees which are 20 inches or greater in diameter brush height within the area of disturbance. They've included, please see the waiver request letter dated July 26, 22, included with the materials. I did become, I didn't know what the board would want to do, hold a site walk, but I can ask, the applicant to mark out the important features if you so choose. Otherwise, I did come prepared with suggested conditions of approval in the event the board decides to act on the request and forego a site walk. And it is a laydown area. It is basically pavement and drainage. That's really what, there's no buildings being proposed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Eric Weinrub, Altus Engineering. I think Dave really hit up all of my high points. We've been Marco Carrier with PR Russell on Brentwood Distribution. We've been working with them since about 2007 when they bought the water distribution plant that was there. We converted that to their bark mulch processing plant, and then we've done multiple expansions to the site over the years. All of their access is off of, it's primarily, the manufacturing, their processing activities are all in Brentwood. Their access is in Brentwood. And we've been before the Brentwood Planning Board for this project because a small sliver of the project is actually in Brentwood. So we've gotten a conditional approval from them in July, and one of their conditions was, or their primary condition was, that you guys approved it too. So, and in reality is, we're not going to build 7,000 square feet of pavement if you're not going to approve it. So it's all together. 58 acres, all of their parcels together, and it just happened to be divided by a town line. And so prior to this, we had stayed entirely in Brentwood. Now they're running out of room. They need to expand their operations. And so in 2015, we did our more recent expansion, which is right in here, which is entirely into right up to the Exeter town line. And at that point, we had some wetland impacts. They were all in Exeter at that time, in Brentwood at that time. And so that allowed us to jump up into another upland area. So that's where we are now, is now we're crossing over into Exeter. So what we're proposing is to store finished products. So it's bagged bark mulch, palletized, shrink wrap, 2 levels high. And so what they do is they produce that over the summer, fall. They let it sit there all winter, so there's no snow plowing, there's no sanding, no salting, no anything. There's no building, no utilities. It's literally just a paved surface so that they can store it. So come spring, when all the big boxes need their bark mulch, they have it ready, they ship it out. That simple.
Kind of stacking lumber in a lumber yard.
They do that too.
How many people do you employ?
About 25, a little bit more than the business season.
So a significant employer in Brentwood and the Exeter area.
Yeah. And that doesn't include, that's the people at the plant, it doesn't include the trucking operations and so forth. So it's a very clean operation. There's no storage of hazardous waste. There's no processing in Exeter. And it is kind of an odd shape area. And what we did is, unlike our previous application, we worked really hard, because we have a lot of room, to not, you have a prime wetland in the area, not to touch the prime wetland buffer, or your regular wetland buffer. We're not asking for any conditional use permits for this. We have one state. We have one state permit, which is the alteration of terrain permit. We got that today. I did email a copy to Dave. I don't know if you guys want to see that. I'm happy to, I made copies, so I'm happy to hand them out.
Sure.
Please, thank you.
Saving trees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Color.
Thank you.
Spared no expense.
And so the stormwater management on the site, it's very simple, where it's a long reach, but town line's here's the existing laydown area, and we're grading with closed drainage all the way down to the end. We have a very detailed level spreader at the end with a curbing, so it slows the velocity before it spills over into the forebay, sodded channel, and then an 8,000, a little over 8,000 square foot vinyl.
If you want, you can just pop that mic off. If you want.
I'll go back now.
Sure.
Sorry.
No worries.
And obviously, AOT has signed off on the stormwater management. We've provided the operation and maintenance requirement. And that operation and maintenance requirements, one of AOT's 4 or 5 comments they had was that they wanted a comprehensive maintenance program. So in your program, you're going to see all the stuff that's actually required in Brentwood as well, because we have a whole series of requirements on the entire site. As far as the waiver goes, I think Marco went out and found around 20 trees or so that met that criteria. It had been logged at one point. It is all natural. And our feeling is asking for that waiver is that regardless if we located them or not, those trees have to go to make this project work. We can't, leave a tree in the middle of a forest here or in the middle of a parking lot and work around it. We're going to need to disturb more area. We're going to need to get into the wetland buffers. So we're not touching anything around it and in the wetlands, and we're maintaining that entire area. So I think that it's a valid.
I'll just give you a little feedback on that before we get too far, if you don't mind. So my history with the board is I've been here a while, and a lot of the board members have concern about just kind of like the cumulative effect of these bigger trees coming down. So recognizing that most of the time that these larger trees are being identified, they are no longer going to be existing. Just FYI. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also, if we were to, on a site like this, save those trees, well, now they're going to be exposed and they're going to be vulnerable.
Die. Yeah.
So it's really, and in some scenarios in the forest, a 20-inch tree might be towards the end of its life, whereas those other perimeter areas are going to be allowed to grow up.
It's a unique regulation.
So, would you harvest those trees that are good logs, or it's all going to be ground up?
I don't know if
There's some decent.
there's some harvestable,
Good
but
lumber, you ought to take advantage of it.
yeah, they're in the wood products business.
Yeah.
And so there is a sense of urgency on this project. That's why we went forward with the state permitting. We've gone forward at a very fast rate because it's essential that it's paved this fall so that they can operate it over the winter or into the winter so that next spring they have that storage space. If they don't have it, then it's more of a challenge of them finding places to store that materials. I'm out of words.
Do you have any slippers?
Couple bags of bark mulch, I mean, come on.
Yeah, bag of both.
The bar's been set.
Yeah, no conditional use permits being requested because they're not, they stayed out of all wetland buffer impact, wetland buffers, and there's no direct wetland impacts as well.
Question, does it have to be paved? From gravel parking lot be the same?
Well, one is on a parking lot that large or surface that large, if it's not paved, there's going to be erosion. And the other is that they are using forklifts and it's harder to get under the forklift and you're going to be scuffing it up. So then you get divots and then you get more erosion. So that hard surface is the best surface.
I suspect that product is in a finished product, and you really don't want to get a lot of mud and gunk, and you're going to spoil some of the product.
Well, it's going to be all shrink wrapped and protected,
but even so,
but you don't.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's 168,000 square feet there.
It's a lot of
water at this point.
Have you guys ever go down Pine Road and see when they have those large piles? It's amazing.
It is. It smells pretty cool, too. I like the smell, actually. And the fact these guys have already got the AOT permits, very significant. That process is much more stringent than our town process. Just,
You don't look at it.
Huh? Maybe that's a matter of opinion, I should say. Now
I'm with you.
I should have caught that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seemed relatively straightforward.
Yes.
It does, because you're taking advantage of the existing slope on the land.
Yeah, it's just the natural slope and, and we curbed it to make sure that we can treat and control all that runoff. It is odd shape, but it was so that we could avoid the wetlands and the buffer areas.
This is the kind of project that we like to see an existing good citizen succeeding with their business and expanding it in a responsible way. I mean, this is the stuff that I get excited about.
Yep.
It's
easier for planning boards.
Well, I mean, these guys are responsible citizens already, and they're just trying to expand their business in a reasonable fashion. I think it's a very straightforward application.
Yep.
You do need to open it up to the public, though.
Yes, I was just thinking about that. If there is anyone in the public that would like to speak to this particular case, we'd ask you to step to the microphone so our viewers at home will know who's speaking. And introduce yourself as well. Seeing none, then I'll close the public session. Are we ready to take some action? Any more questions?
Well, we got to talk about the waiver.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I have a question, and it doesn't really, it can be asked later. I just thought I'd put something, put a word in, and I can ask it now if you want, but.
Oh, go ahead.
I wonder, in the process of producing the mulch, is there a chemical aspect of this? Is there like some kind of a dye that gets? Because I as the crow flies, I don't live too far from here, but I pick up smells that are not wood chip smells. It smells, and I'm pretty sure it's coming from your facility. And I just wondered I've always wondered what that is and what type of application you put on it, if that is the case.
Please step to the
And if
microphone. Introduce yourselves to our viewers and the board.
incorrect in my assumption,
speaking.
then I will happily stand to be corrected.
I would be very surprised that you're smelling the dye. It really does not have much of a smell at all. What we do smell at times is the roofing company next door to us is the smell that we would get at times.
It could be.
But the dye, I wouldn't see that it has any smell to that.
It's, have you ever noticed it?
Yeah, but I could see roofing company too.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or maybe I'm just used to it.
Okay, maybe.
How do you do that? Is that a tumbling process or a spraying process?
I'm sorry?
How do you do that?
So
Mix it.
it's essentially we use like a large trommel screen to mix it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, big tumbling. Big one. Okay, any other questions? Dan, no? Pete?
So I say, I think
No
it's
2%?
relatively straightforward.
2% concern here?
No,
Okay.
I'll disregard that.
Okay.
Okay, so are we ready to discuss the waiver?
I think so. So,
Anybody have any comments on the
let's see.
significant tree
Open up a minute.
waiver request?
Can you say how many trees there are?
Around 20.
Around 20.
We all look at.
It doesn't feel good.
No, it really doesn't.
Here we are. Yep.
They did submit their response to the criteria in the packet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're beyond making people read everything, aren't we, with that?
Well, as long as you have it,
Yeah.
I don't think it's your choice to have them go up and repeat, but as long as you have something in writing, I think that's a key.
Right, definitely. Yeah, we need to hear it somewhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's your choice if you want to have them.
I don't need to hear it.
Reiterate, elaborate, etc.
All trees within
I don't
it, there's
need to hear it.
explanation, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion then.
Okay, I'm ready.
After reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move that the request of Brentwood Distribution LLC Planning Board Case Number 22-10 for a waiver from Section 7.4.7 of the Site Plan Review and Subdivision Regulations regarding identifying significant trees 20 inches in diameter or greater be approved.
Second. Moved and second, thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
It's fine with me.
I'm going to ask for a roll call vote, please. Gwen, start with you, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. You ready for the second motion?
Well, I think our esteemed planner needs to read his conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That one, I forgot.
I have 9. They're all standard conditions that I'm sure you've heard before, but I will read them yet again.
He doesn't get out of reading it.
Now, I know, that's why I should have just play a tape.
You should.
These are all standard, but anyway. 1, an electronic as-built plan with details acceptable to the town shall be provided prior to use of the site. This plan must be in DWG or DFX file format and in NAD 1983 State Plan, New Hampshire, FIPS 2,800 feet coordinates. 2, a pre-construction meeting shall be arranged by the applicant and his contractor with the town engineer prior to any site work commencing. The following must be submitted for review and approval prior to the pre-con meeting: the SWIP, and the project schedule and construction cost estimate. 3, third-party construction inspection fees shall be paid prior to scheduling the pre-construction meeting. 4, all comments in the Underwood Engineer, Inc. review letter dated July 19, 2022, and any subsequent comments as a result of further review shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the town planner prior to signing the final plans. 5, the stormwater system operation and maintenance report and the stormwater operations and maintenance manual shall be completed and submitted to the town engineer annually on or before January 31st. This requirement shall be an ongoing condition of approval. All applicable state approval numbers shall be noted on the final plans. All landscaping shown on the plan shall be maintained and and any dead or dying vegetation shall be replaced no later than the following grazing season as long as the site plan remains valid. This condition is not intended to circumvent the revocation procedures set forth in the statutes. 8, the applicant shall submit the land use and stormwater management information about the project using the PTAP online municipal tracking tool, and the PTAP submittal must be accepted by DBW prior to the pre-construction meeting, and a restoration and erosion control surety in an amount and a form reviewed and approved by the town planner in accordance with section 12 of the site plan review and subdivision regulations shall be provided prior to any site work. Those are the 9, and just let me elaborate on the landscaping. Maybe people thinking like, well, there's no landscaping. It's just the seeded areas that are revegetated, the slopes that are in the buffers, and so I just included it on this one.
Okay, that was about to raise my hand, so thank you.
Yeah, you have, landscaping can be grass, any grassed area that you're reseeding and so forth, it just needs to be maintained, that's all.
Finish between the...
I think that's pretty significantly addressed in the state permit too. But I think it's good that they've added that, and I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready to hear it.
Can I just ask, it's my understanding there aren't any utilities, there's no lighting.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Aaron.
I move that the request of Brentwood Distribution LLC Planning Board Case Number 22-10 for site plan approval be approved with the conditions as read by Dave Sharples. The 9 conditions.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, Nancy. Questions on the motion? Hand vote. Let's start with you tonight, Dan.
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Aye.
Say hand vote? Aye. I'll raise my hand too.
Well, you can do both.
He raised his left hand.
We all said aye. Thank
This
you.
is always a test. Okay.
Good luck with your
Thank you very
project.
much. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
At least you know the trees will be used again.
No,
All right, that will work.
Were we better than Brentwood?
It is.
Were we easier than Brentwood to deal with? Oh, what do you need? The agenda?
Yeah, what do you think of that?
that one. Okay.
There. Now we're getting our way down.
Okay.
So things broken.
Next on our agenda, the application of 131 Portsmouth Avenue LLC for a minor subdivision of an existing 15.26 article parcel into 2 lots. Subject property located at 131 Portsmouth Avenue and Holland Way in the 2-2 Highway Commercial and CT Corporate Technology Park zoning districts. Tax map parcel is 52-112, and is planning board case number 22-13. And I would ask if this case is ready to be heard.
In my opinion, it is complete for review purposes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Would somebody like to make a motion to open this case, please? Not all at once.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? You're quiet tonight.
Trouble.
Okay.
Because I'm not quite sure I understood exactly what the motion was.
Open the hearing.
I understand that, but then there was something added. And maybe my ears,
This case is ready for her.
I understand that, but then there was something more. I can't, I'm all right.
Still need a second, please.
Oh, I'll second.
Okay.
What you're looking for.
You just haven't had a vote.
Okay, voice vote. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 I want your hand too.
Nays? Abstentions? Ayes get it. So Dave, could you just start us off on this case, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. I think it's as you said, it's a minor subdivision. It's taken 1 lot into 2. It has been reviewed by Doug Eastman, the code enforcement officer, who reviewed and determined that it meets all the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance regarding frontage, lot area, and so forth. We did not have a TRC meeting for this because it was, it's a minor subdivision. No buildings are being proposed. It's 2 lots into 1. However, Upon my review, the only thing I was concerned about is showing, and I think you have this colored map right here. That's the important one, because I didn't want the planning board to get into a situation where they're approving a lot that requires a conditional use permit, where buffers overlap. And there was some concern because there was this finger of wetland that's in blue on there on the left, that's been determined to be a man-made drainage ditch, which does not apply, our buffer regulations do not apply to that. So that is not a buffer. So the plan here shows a yellow area that is the buildable area, and I don't know, was it about 24,700 square feet? There's a small section, a yellow on the top right, and the majority of it being down and below. So I just didn't want the board to be in a position where you create a parcel, then you're forced to issue a conditional use permit application. And I think they've shown that, this demonstrates that they could build on it without a conditional use permit. As I said in my memo, that doesn't mean they may come back and request one, for a future use, but at least the board won't be in a position to the applicant can't argue that you have to give it to me because, there is no buildable area. So that's all. And I have the two standard suggested conditions of approval for minor subdivisions if the board does take action on the request, and there are no waivers.
Thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Patrick Crimmins. I'm with Ty and Bond. Also here with me this evening from the applicant is Evan Tormey. I'll be very brief because the chairman essentially just read it all into the record, and Dave did a very good description on the buildable area exhibit that we've included. But the parcel is tax map parcel 112 on map 52. It's a 15.26 acre parcel that we're proposing to divide into two parcels. You'll recall, or I think most of you probably will recall, that this was part of the larger Osram parcel that was subdivided a few years ago. Yeah. We are now back here before you folks to further subdivide the parcel into two separate parcels, one being a 9.03 acre piece of land that will consist of that existing light industrial building. The applicant is in negotiations to sell that property to a light industrial user, and then would retain the 6.24 acre parcel of land that has frontage out along Portsmouth Avenue. As Dave described very well, the parcel itself doesn't require a conditional use permit. It does have buildable upland, and as Dave said, not to say that it won't be back if and when it is developed for a conditional use permit, but there is the opportunity to develop that piece of land along Portsmouth Avenue without impacting buffers. The parcel itself, you'll see where the lot line is through the middle of it there. Putting the 9 acre parcel with the industrial building. It has frontage on Holland Way, but it will maintain right now its shared access off of Portsmouth Avenue, just very similar to how Osram operates. There'll be an easement across it, allowing them to access the property. And I think that's about it. So again, we're just here for a minor subdivision.
Okay. Questions? Does everybody want to sleep here? Ed's nodding back and forth.
No question.
Just no question.
This is really straightforward.
Well, Chairman would be willing to hear a motion then. If that's what you go for it.
I move at the request of 131 Portsmouth Ave, LLC, planning board case number 22-13, minor subdivision approval be approved.
Second.
You need to read, Dave, don't you need those conditions again? Or no?
Conditions?
Yeah.
Please?
Oh, we have to.
Yeah, we have to have
We have to tweak it with the
We do have to
with
read
the
it.
following conditions.
That's all right, I'll have to do it again.
DWG, number 1, a DWG file of the plan shall be provided to the town planner showing all property lines and monumentation prior to signing the final plans. The plan must be an NAD 1983 State Plan, New Hampshire, FIPS 2800 feet coordinates, and all monumentation shall be set in accordance with section 9.25 of the site plan review and subdivision regulations prior to signing the final plans.
So that is
Two conditions.
two conditions.
All right, then I move that the request of 131 Portsmouth Ave LLC, planning board case number 22-13 for minor subdivision approval, be approved with the conditions outlined by the town plan. Two conditions.
You heard a second?
Second, thank you. Oh, let's go with a hand vote.
He's just keeping us on our show tonight.
Wave it up, let's go. And Gwen, we'll start with you, please.
You're gonna make them one at a time and get to show their hand. That's pretty good. He's
Like,
a rough crowd
We're
tonight.
waiting for you.
Oh, you didn't say Aaron. What? We doing the wave? Is that what we're doing now?
And I vote aye.
A new vote. Wait vote.
Okay.
Let's get a little sensibility here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with that,
That's a
7-0.
all positive vote all around, so I can declare that it's a unanimous vote.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
sir.
time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Niggling me. Bet you wish you were first on the agenda.
Niggling. There's a niggle.
What happens, right? Sometimes?
Dave, do we know
we're doing all right.
This looked like.
Did you have it?
Did look really ugly.
Did you have the public hearing?
I don't know that we moved for.
Oh, we didn't open it to the public. You had to open it to the public.
Okay, well,
Motion to reconsider.
This is known as a non pro tem.
He's getting so efficient, he doesn't know what he's doing anymore.
floor is open to the public. Any
So
comments?
I'd like, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider.
Okay.
I think we need a second and a vote.
Second.
Yep, second. Those in favor, voice vote, please.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Well, we're going to reconsider. So, I'd like to give the public an opportunity to speak. I'm sorry, all you good people out there, but if you would like to make a comment, please step to the microphone and introduce yourself. So we and our faithful observers at home will know who's speaking. Seeing none, I will close the public motion, public hearing.
Yeah.
Bring it back to the board. Now, do we need a vote to confirm our action? Are we okay?
Probably should redo it.
Yeah.
Here you go, John.
Take 3.
Take-
I move that the request of 131 Portsmouth Ave LLC, planning board case number 22-13 for minor subdivision approval be approved with the two conditions outlined by the town planner.
Second.
Okay.
How do we go this time?
How you gonna vote this time? Hand, eye, rolling.
Let's do a hand vote.
Hand vote.
Those in favor, hand please up. Okay, opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Unanimous?
All right. You better get out of here.
Thank you again.
Now you're somebody else.
Thank you for your patience.
Congratulations. Good luck. All right, yeah, so this is the one. This is the one you can do. Here, you can do this one. Yeah.
Okay, we have a request. Other business.
This is the last.
Yeah, I have it. Well, yeah, let me see your stuff.
The Watson.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, we have a request here for extension, request for subdivision plan approved dated September 23rd, 2021. And for a subdivision at 19 Watson Road. Planning board case number 2021. Everybody remember that particular one up on North Road?
Yes, it looks like there's a representative here to speak on it.
Oh, I knew he was sitting here.
Yes. Good evening, Barry Geyer with Jones and Beach Engineers for the applicant. We are requesting a extension to the approval for the 12-lot subdivision off of Watson Road that we had approved last year. We are still finalizing our state permits, very close. He has a PNS on the property as well, so we are moving forward hopefully very shortly. So we would ask for a 1-year extension, although it's probably going to be a couple weeks before we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you for appearing.
Yes. No, I'm serious, sincerely.
I'm serious when I say that, because many times we get these, the no representatives show, and I think
The ghost request, huh?
he needs to be complimented first.
Fortunately, he had something else to be here for.
Well, that's all right.
Nothing's changed regulatory-wise that would affect this approval. I see no reason that we should hold back an approval of this extension request. So I would suggest we approve it.
I'll second it.
That was a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve with no conditions.
John
Second.
John seconded. Any discussion? Hand vote should be fine. Those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Everyone know the right? That's good. No objections?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one's a little more tricky.
No. Where'd you do that agenda?
It's here, but the next one's a little more tricky.
Okay, we have a request from Scott Carlisle. Planning Board, case number 17-26. Request for extension of approval for subdivision off of Epping Road. And that was case 17-26. Dave, do you have anything to?
I got it when you want.
Well, I just want to point out, we did get a couple of things, and do you have the extension request dated July 26th? Well, it's dated July 21st. We received it on July 26th. But then you also have two letters, one August 24th from DTC Lawyers that you received earlier today, and another August 25th from Upton and Hatfield regarding this project, this request.
We don't have one.
Okay, so, do you want to speak briefly?
Yeah, we'll be very brief. The applicant is asking for an extension to the minor subdivision. We did receive the abutters objection yesterday. The property owner's attorney was unable to attend the night. So if the board would like to consider the objection and potentially deny the extension, then the applicant would request that this be continued to the next meeting to respond to their objection.
Yeah, understood. So that, well, we all also got both of these letters kind of late in the game.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So I had a discussion with our town planner prior to this meeting, and he, because of this unique situation, in my time on this board, I've never seen an objection to an extension, literally, but came in late, was not a short memo, and then there's two attorneys making motions kind of at us. Dave's decided to get legal counsel, so I'm going to make a motion right now. I move that the planning board enter into a non-public session in accordance with NHRSA 91-A:3 under the exception set forth in section 2:1 to consider legal advice provided by our legal counsel.
Second.
It's a little L.
Oh, is that what that is?
In the parentheses,
Section
it's
2, little L? Okay.
Yeah, and I second.
Moved and seconded.
Moved and seconded, okay. Maybe hand vote or what?
I think you need a roll call to go.
Yeah.
Yep, roll call.
You do need a roll
call vote.
Roll call, yep.
Aye.
See?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
I vote aye.
Okay. Okay, we have a request before us, and I'm looking for a motion, please.
I move to grant the extension request for planning board case number 17-26 for the reasons set forth in the request. This extension shall be valid through August 24th, 2023.
Is there a second?
I will second that request
Okay,
for motion.
and I'll call for the vote. Let's make it a roll call vote. So, Gwen?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
John?
No, aye.
Fine. Aye.
Yes. And I vote aye.
Unanimous vote? Stands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now I know. That works.
Yes, please do. Okay. Next item is One Home Builders Planning-Based Board Case Number 21-6. It's a request for extension of conditional approval for the M/F condominium development at 32 Charter Street. Had that somewhere.
That's this one here.
Okay?
Okay, One Home Builders.
Yep, from Beals Associates, yes. Okay, which says, as you may recall, the referenced project was approved on September 24th, 2021. The applicant has been working a year on permitting, NHDES Wetland Bureau. The NHDES wetland permit was issued on February 4th, 2022, and getting utility connections removed from the existing dwelling and other outbuildings, we anticipate structure demolition, removal of the debris/buildings within the prime wetland and associated buffers, as well as restoration efforts to commence in the very near future. Disturbed areas within the prime wetland and 50-foot buffer are to be restored and seeded per the approved plans and NHDES Wetlands Bureau permit conditions. We're writing formally request a one-year extension to the approval for the applicant to have time to complete construction phase of the project. And that's signed by Christian O. Smith from Beals Associates. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the extension request. Until, what's his date on it? It's a year from now, right?
Here from now, Jim?
Yeah, we go to
The date
a year from today.
No, you go to September 24th, 2023.
Okay, until September.
Because that was the date of the approval.
It would expire.
It would expire September 24th,
He's ahead.
2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you asked for it, ideally you asked for it early.
Yeah.
So it would be to September 24th, 2023.
Three, yes.
23.
One more year.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Voice vote should be okay. 1, 2, 3. Are you in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? It's passed unanimously. Very good.
All right, yeah, so that's.
Master plan discussion.
Minutes.
I can do that.
Minutes,
I think we have a meeting in September.
On the 16th?
Yeah, it's posted. We ended up moving it. We skipped some time just because of scheduling. But we're actually getting some stuff going on, so it's pretty cool.
We do. But I recapped the board last meeting. So
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Nothing
Yeah.
new from that meeting.
Good.
So
How
when
about
is the master plan meeting?
I think it's September 16th,
Yeah, we're September 16th at 8:15.
and it's here. And it's
But we have someone
I
coming
will be away.
about the bike path or something.
Well, I still
a
need
good meeting.
Yeah, I believe our regional planning commission
9:16.
is coming to do
What
it.
time did you say? 8:30?
8:15, 9:15, 8:15, there.
Time there?
Whenever
Okay,
Pete
I'm sorry,
decides
what
to
was the
get here
date
is when we
again?
start usually.
The 16th
September
at 8:15.
16th. 8:15 a.m.
Yeah.
Right here in the
Downtown,
NOAC.
And it's posted
Oh, it's in the morning?
on the town
In the
website.
morning.
I might be able to do it. How long does it last?
1 hour.
1 hour. We're done.
At the most.
Occasionally a little more, Dan, but,
And then occasionally a little less.
Yeah.
but 45 minutes to an hour and 15 somewhere.
Great. Field modifications.
None requested.
None requested. Bond or letter of credit reduction
Yes,
release.
bond reduction, Primrose, the Primrose Day School.
Yes.
Requested one. They had an erosion control bond for 63,000. I'm just going to use rough numbers, 63,000. And they had asked for 11 back that we had already given them, so they had 52. And they asked for it to be released, but I went to the site and they had done the hydro seeding, but it wasn't any more than 10% vegetation established, just the hydro seeding areas. Everything else is, all the pavement, all the building, everything else is done. So we retained $21,000, so I did give them back about $32,000, but I retained 21 until, and I instructed them that I'm not gonna release it until the hydro seeding is at least 85% established. So, that's all.
Thank you.
All right, once they got going, that building went up fast.
Yeah.
So they're going to open this fall?
Yeah.
That's what they told us.
Yeah.
You want a motion?
Sure.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third. Oh, wait.
Oh, we're not.
I don't need to say it.
We're not going to do your little Columbo thing tonight, Sharples.
I'm just saying, everyone got that 3-page hole punch in there.
Yeah.
So it's hole punch to just take your handbook, take the old one out, and put the new one in.
Wow. I have to find my handbook though.
Thank you for coming this evening, everybody.
Oh, 3-hole punch.
Hey, we got through that agenda pretty well.
Tripping over my words.
Good. Yeah.
It's a 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Did all right.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.